Calvin Castine at Northeastern Clinton, coming to you with something we've been doing for the past several years, and that's allowing the school superintendent here to go over the proposed budget prior to the actual vote on the budget. And in all the years prior to this, we've always had Mr. Chris DeGrampre as the school superintendent, but this year we have a brand new, slightly used though, but still brand new to us, school superintendent, Mr. Robert Bob Hebert. And Bob, your father Frank, I alternately heard him called Frank Hebert and Frank Hebert. And I'm sure when you grew up, it was always Hebert.
That's correct.
And were you Hebert at any time, or?
No, I think the three of us were always Hebert, but my dad was referred to as Hebert. Yes.
Yeah, because that was the French pronunciation, and you've lost both of your parents. I can't remember your mother's name, but I know it wasn't Mary or Sue. It was a kind of a French-sounding name. Yolande, yes.
Yes.
And I worked several years up at the Harris Corporation Sheridan Iron Works, and of course Frank Hebert worked there, and very popular, well-liked person. And you said the three of you. Now, I remember your brother George. I think he probably graduated sometime around the time my brother Sam did. Sam graduated in '63 from Champlain Central. What grade would you remember? What grade George would have been?
George was 2 years ahead of me, so that'd be. And George is now working for Xerox. Has been for many years. He's one of the vice presidents at Xerox in Fairport, New York.
Oh, that's good.
And Michael was 1 year older than I was, and he is now in Connecticut. He's an attorney, been there for several years, working down there with one of the insurance companies. So, yeah. So we all took different walks of life.
And one of you decided to come back. Had you thought about this for a while, looking for an opportunity, or did this just pop up out of the blue?
It just came out of the blue. It's basically after my mom died, we left, and we thought we'd never be back to the area because we only came back occasionally, once or twice a year, to see the folks. And then we saw the ad. My wife saw the ad in the paper, and she said, "Why don't you try?" And then so I applied. And then when I came back here, I just kind of realized how beautiful it was, and what I really didn't realize when I was here, because like everybody else, you just want to get away.
Yeah, get out of this
you
rat hole.
You really don't realize how beautiful this area is and what it has to offer. And it was just like something was pulling me back. So I decided to apply for this position, and I'm very, very grateful that I did get it.
Tell us a little bit about your prior experience. You didn't suddenly become a school superintendent.
No, I taught school for 18 years in Queensbury Middle School, in 5th grade and 6th grade. And after that, I got my administrative degree from the College of St. Rose. And then I went to Cattaraugus, where I was the elementary principal for 15 years. And during that time, I served as an assistant superintendent for a very short period of time because there was a change of administration in our school district. But I had a lot of opportunities to work with the community, look at changing, cultures and making the school kind of the learning focal point in a community. And I really enjoyed it, enjoyed working with the people, and that's why I felt my next step was going to be to become a superintendent.
So this is your first superintendent?
Probably my first and my last.
Oh, we would hope so. We would hope you stick around for at least you got another 20 years in you, right?
Well, I don't know how many, but I know that I really love what I'm doing, and I'm having a good time doing it. It's a great place to be. The staff is wonderful. The faculty, everyone, the board is excellent. I'm just really enjoying being here. It's fun to be out there watching the kids and their athletic events and everything else that they participate in. So to me, it's really a wonderful time.
And you got so excited with all this, watching those kids participate, that you had to do it yourself recently, right?
Yes, I guess I was one of the pawns in the wizard game.
The Harlem Wizards were here, and Bob was one of the ones that went out there and became victim to the...
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Now, you were talking before on camera, you mentioned at least one person that many people out there will know. That was one of your former classmates while you were here at Champlain Central, and that was the Junior Laporte, Albert Laporte, the mayor of the village of Champlain.
Yes, Albert and I were in the same class, and especially in 6th grade, that I remember when we were in Ann Halstead's class, and we were over at the Grange Hall. That's when the school needed an extra classroom, and we had gone over to the Grange Hall. I have many, many fond memories of that year. I think Miss Halstead was an excellent teacher. We had an excellent group of students, and we were able to build a real strong camaraderie among the group. It was a wonderful educational year.
Grange Hall he talks about is on the corner of Church and Cedar Street in Champlain, and I remember probably when I was in 6th grade also walking by. It had to be 6th grade because that was
Right.
a 6th grade class,
Yeah.
and I was at St. Mary's, and get out of school a little early, and we'd walk by and peek in and look at the girls in there, and I do remember that, and I hadn't thought about that facility for a while, but yeah, that. So that shows that spacing problems have always been an issue.
Right.
You know.
And not only in this school, in most schools, but at least that was a viable alternative, and it was, as I said, it was an excellent year for all the students that were there. So we had a nice year.
Okay. We're here to talk about the budget, and after Superintendent Hebert gives his presentation, I'll be back, and there may be some questions that I will have, and hopefully I'll ask the questions that the people out there have further information needed on. So I guess unless you have something else, without further ado, we'll get going on the transparencies. And
That sounds good.
okay, thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Okay, what I would like to start with is to show you the 3 pieces of information that are available. We have the the proposed annual school budget, which is available at many local stores and will be available at the annual meeting and also the day of the vote. There is also a card which you should be receiving in the mail, which is the school district budget notice, and we will be going over both of these items in detail. And for those who would like to have or see a copy of the comprehensive budget, we have a copy of this comprehensive budget with the school district report card that is available at the school for people to take a look at, and will also be available the night of the annual meeting and at the budget vote. The informational meeting, we've already had our first one, was Monday, May 3rd at 6:30 at the Moores Elementary School Cafetorium. And for those who are not able to attend that and would like to have more information on the budget, the second meeting will be Monday, May 17th at 7 p.m. in the senior high school. So those are the 2 meetings that we have set aside to go over the budget. And the actual budget vote is on Tuesday, May 18th from 12 until 9. What we call the tax report card. What you have in the first line here is the budget that was adopted for the year 2003-2004, which was $20,587,670. Now, the proposed budget for the 2004-2005 school year is $22,212,849. So the percent of increase in the budget is 7.9%. I'd like to point out at this time, too, that a great deal of that increase is attributed to the $437,000 increase that we had in teachers' retirement system, the $62,000 increase that we had in the employees' retirement system, and approximately a $700,000 increase that we had in the health insurance benefits. So that brought us up to about $1.2 before we even started to look at the needs that we had for this upcoming budget. We were able to cut a considerable amount out, and basically we were very pleased that the percent increase was as low as 7.9 with all those unexpected expenditures. The school tax levy for 2003-2004 was $8,272,616. The school tax levy estimated for 2004-2005 is $9,203,800. Again, you must keep in mind that we had those unplanned expenditures that are part of that increase. And the percent of increase in the school tax levy is 11.3%. The part that the school district is responsible for is the increase in the tax rate. And for the 2003-2004, the percentage of the increase in tax rate was 1%. And after scrutinizing our budget and cutting out whatever possible thing that we thought we could do away with and still keep a quality program, the percent of increase in tax rate for 2004-2005 is 4.6%. Our current year enrollment is 1,641. We're estimating the enrollment for 2004-2005 to be around 1,645. We have just finished our kindergarten screening, and apparently we have over 100 students that will be coming into kindergarten next year, which is a very positive sign for growth in our district. So the percent of increase in enrollment is approximately 0.2%. The percent increase in the consumer price index is 2.3%. The community library funding for 2003-2004 was $20,400. We had 3 libraries at $6,800 each. The proposed for the libraries this year, for the 2004 upcoming year, 2004-2005, is $21,000, where each of the libraries is requesting to go to $7,000. The other proposition will be the one dealing with the buses and the van. We are proposing to have 3 65-passenger buses at a maximum estimate cost of $80,000 each, and 1 van at a maximum estimated cost of $18,000 for a sum not to exceed $258,000. Now, what I would like to do is to go over the district budget notice. This is the one that the taxpayers should have received in the mail by now. What it covers is the budget for the 2003-2004 school year, the proposed budget for the 2004-2005 school year, and the third column is the contingency budget for 2004-2005. Now, a contingency budget, as most people know, is the budget that the school district has to adopt should their budget not be passed. The total budgeted amount for 2003-2004 was $20,587,670. The amount for 2004-2005 that is being proposed is $22,212,849. The contingency budget for that year would be $21,103,431. The increase over last year's would be $1,625,179. If they were to go we were to go to a contingency budget, then our increase would be $515,761. The percent of increase would be that 7.9% that we had talked about, that the budget has gone up. If we went to a contingency, it would have to go to 2.5. The change in the consumer price index is 2.3%. And resulting estimate of property tax levy for 2004-2005 school year would be $9,203,800. If you went to contingency, it would be $8,094,382. There are three basic components to a school budget, and that's why these are listed on this card. The first is the administrative component. And if you break it down by each of the different components, last year, the 2003-2004 school year budget for the administrative component was $1,708,067. The administrative component for the proposed budget is $1,784,168. If it went to contingency, it would be $1,730,440. The program component for last year was $15,471,798. The proposed for the 2004-2005 school year would be $17,130,817. For the contingency for 2004-2005, it would be $16,106,782. The capital component part of the budget last year was $3,407,805. The proposed would be $3,297,864. The contingency budget component would be $3,266,209. The other part of this card is your basic STAR exemption information. If you look at the first line, you would see that using a typical home of $100,000 value, the basic STAR tax savings last year were $688.50. This year they would be $720.30. The increase or decrease based upon the STAR last year was $22. This year it's $106. If you look at the difference between the value or per thousand, last year it was $22.95. This year the proposed budget looks at $24.01, which is an increase of $1.06. So on a $100,000 home, that would be $106. Now, to get your net STAR savings, what you would do is you would subtract that $106 from the $720.30, giving you a STAR savings on a $100,000 home for $614.30. The $720.30 is computed by taking the $30,000 allotment that you received from STAR and multiplying that times the $24.01, which would be the new tax rate. And now I'd like to go into the basic general fund appropriations. In the different categories, I will focus on a few where there is a change and try to explain why that change occurred. In central administration, in the 2003-2004 budget, it was $236,787. In the proposed, it's $193,984, which is a decrease of approximately 22.19%. or a difference of $42,803. And the reason for this is because last year we had a retiring superintendent, and based upon the benefits that he was entitled to, there was money that was allotted in the budget which we do not need to allot this year. Business administration, there's a difference there. Last year was $221,578. This year we're proposing $202,562. The reason for the minus 9.4% decrease here is that we have contracted out for the business administrator. We are now working with the Retired Business Administrators Association, and we are using a retired business administrator for 2 days a month versus having a full-time individual. The next is the auditing services. That was $8,870. It's gone up to $10,200. The reason for that 15% increase, or the $1,330, is because now part of the auditing process is the Gadsby report, which is an additional report which takes additional time. Therefore, it costs more. Then if we go down to central printing and mailing, you'll see that there's an increase from $10,386 to $19,900. That's because it is our hope that we will be able to have a district newsletter this year that will be able to go out every month, that will combine all the information from the Rouses Point Elementary and the Moores Elementary, the junior, senior high, and the senior high in one letter that will be mailed to all the residents of the district, so everyone will be aware of what is going on and basically all the wonderful accomplishments that are taking place at Northeastern Clinton. If you look at the total of the general support, it was budgeted $2,114,027 last year. The proposed is $2,072,220, which is really a decrease of 2%. Looking at the instruction component, if you look at one of the changes is supervision in summer school. Last year it was $3,155. This year it's $0, because in the budget process, one of the things that we had to look at in making some of our cuts was to do away with the summer school that takes place here at Northeastern Clinton Central. We were able to provide pay for one course in the regional summer school that will be taking place at Saranac Central, and we will provide transportation for the students that need to go to that summer school. The other change would be occupational education from $360,540 to $371,908, an increase of 3.2%. That has to do with the OTEC program that we have at BOCES and the cost for each of the components in that program. The school library and audio visual was $162,419. This year went to $172,826, an increase of 6.4%. Again, this is part of this comes from our categorical aid when we're talking about the libraries, so that most of that money is taken from that particular area. We're allowed $6 per student. Computer-assisted instruction, there was a big increase. It was $187,376 last year. This year it's $311,697. The reason for the increase is because of the NCLB, or the No Child Left Behind mandates. Attendance has to be taken at every single period in the junior, senior high, and we had to put in additional hardware so that there would be a computer in every classroom, because the attendance has to be done through computers. Also, we had to purchase a computer program, Starbase, in order to allow us to to do this attendance program. If you look at the guidance regular school, you'll notice that there's an increase from $384,000 to $692 to $395,722, an increase of 2.9%, and that's because this year we did add a 3/5 counselor to the middle school. So the instructional summary from $11,825,449 went to $12,336,782, which was an increase of 4.3%. The biggest, again, increase was due to the mandates of the NCLB, where we had to put in the STAR-based program. The district transportation, looking at the summary, was $1,050,781. It went to $1,144,164. And the undistributed summary, which deals with the employees' benefit, and I alluded to that earlier, the increase that we have had because of the teachers' retirement system, the employees' retirement system, the increased cost in health insurance. The undistributed summary went from $5,594,395 to $6,657,910, which was an increase of 19%. Now, I'd like to look at the school tax information. Here you see we have Altoona, Champlain, Chazy, and Moores, the townships in this school district. And since we are at 100% assessment, all the assessments are the same. So looking across at Altoona, last year the rate per thousand was $22.95. With the new proposed budget, we're looking at $24.01, which is an increase of $1.06 per thousand, or a 4.6% increase. If you look at the school taxes based on a $100,000 assessment, you'll see that using any of the townships, for the 2003-2004, it was $2,295. For 2004-2005, we're looking at $2,401, or an increase of $106. And if you look at the STAR component, with that $1,606.50 in 2003-2004, and with the proposed in 2004-2005, we're looking at an increase of, which would be $1,680.70. We're looking at an increase of about $74.20. If we take a look at our revenues, what we're looking at, the real property tax items, and again, these are the items where if a business comes in and they would get a tax break for a certain number of years for paying a fee or whatever, we're going from $285,000 to $294,700. We have an increase there of 3.4%. Looking for charge for services, this would be our non-resident tuition and out-of-state tuition. You're looking at going from $554,961 to $589,011, which is an increase of 6.19%. Use of money and property basically remaining the same at $30,601. Sale of property and compensation for losses, again remaining the same at $9,100. Miscellaneous, that's when we get some refunds from BOCES at the end of the year. That basically is remaining at $151,000, our estimates. Interfund transfers at $2,500. And the state sources, which is our state aid or BOCES aid, last year was $10,841,892. This year, looking at $11,382,137. Now, it looks like we received more state aid than what was put out in the governor's proposal, but basically we did receive the 2.98, which was around $331,000 increase, but you did receive some additional aid back last year after all the proposals were done, and that was around $150,000, and that aid is added onto there, and that's why that figure is higher than the actual projection that we're getting this year from the governor's proposal. The other area that I want to look at is the fund balance. But before that, you see, so the total number that you see there, which is $12,659,049, is the revenue that we have just gone over. That's the generated revenue. And the other part of the revenue that we look at would be the fund balance and the tax levy. But the fund balance last year was $240,000. In order to keep the tax rate down, we increased that fund balance to $300,000 this year. But you'll see that it says $350,000, and that's because we needed to add more, and as a one-time event, we put $50,000 in from our tax certiorari account. We have been working this year with the golf course that has filed a tax claim. We've also been working with Wyatt, and we've been working with Level 3 Communication. And after assessing the amount of money that we had in our reserve, we felt very comfortable in being able to take out $50,000 since we had already settled 2 of those accounts, and to add that to the fund balance. But that is a one-time thing. That does not mean that next year we would be putting $350,000 towards our fund balance. We would probably still look at the 300 or even trying to reduce it lower. So the tax levy then comes to $9,203,800, which is a difference of $931,184 from last year's tax levy, or an increase of 11.25 or 11.3%, as we had mentioned earlier. So the total that we're looking at would be, for our budget, is $22,212,849. To comment on that, we have a projection of 1645, but this could be higher because our kindergarten class, as we mentioned, the screening is completed, is over 100 right now, which means we're going to need to add one more section if that bears true throughout the summer, and we've already budgeted for that extra person. We may get more students from St. Mary's, and again, our non-resident students may increase. So it looks like our projection may be a little low, and to me that is a very healthy sign when your enrollment is growing. The one thing that I did not do that I wanted to do, so I'd like to go back, and that is to take a look at the proposed contingent items that we would have to cut. In our card, we looked at the budget for the 2003-2004 school year. We looked at the proposed budget for the 2004-2005 school year, and we looked at the contingency budget for 2004-2005. You notice that the contingency was much lower than the other two. And the reason is, if we have to go to contingency, these are the areas that we will have to cut. Looking at a revised budget amount of $22,212,849, we would have to look at taking out, we can take out equipment. We take out the $28,936 because you must take equipment out in a contingency budget unless that equipment is for safety or health reasons. So we would be looking at taking out our kindergarten at the tune of $221,589. We'd look at eliminating 3 teaching positions in the middle and the high school. We'd look at moving the total athletic program, closing the pool and that physical education instructor. removing that 5th kindergarten that we had talked about. The elementary guidance counselors would probably have to go. Elementary art, 4/5. Elementary PE, 4/5. We would decrease our assistant principal by 40%, making him only 3/5. We would look at we would have to eliminate that 3/5 middle school guidance counselor that we added on this year. We'd have to eliminate 2/5 of a 6th grade teacher, 1 new bus driver. The second semester of driver education that we were able to put into the budget, even though we did have to cut out the summer sessions of driver ed. We would have to even reduce our business administrator. We'd have to do away with the Model United Nations program. We'd have to do away with field trips for students. We'd have to do away with the outdoor education program, which is the Lake Clear 6th grade program. Teaching materials and supplies, we would have to cut the music festival, transportation, conferences, newsletters. These are all major items that we would have to do away with to get down to that $1,080,482 that we would have to reduce our budget by if we had to go to contingency. Now, looking at the propositions to be placed before the voters on the 18th, the vote for the proposed 2004-2005 school budget in the amount of $22,212,849. That's what the voters will be voting on. Also, we have one candidate for the Board of Education who is running unopposed, and that's our present incumbent, Linda Gagno. You'll be voting on that. The proposition to increase the community library funding, the allocation is now $6,800. They are asking for $7,000 per library. And the proposition to purchase 3 school buses and 1 van. I need to let you know that we originally started with 5 school buses, but when we started making our cuts, we felt that we would need to also reduce that. So still taking safety into consideration, we believe that we can do it with 3 school buses and 1 van this year. I'd like to again remind you of the upcoming annual district meeting to review the proposed budget, which will be held Monday, May 17th at 7 p.m. at the senior high school in the Francis Bud Moore Auditorium. And also that the vote on the budget, the library propositions, the bus propositions, and for 1 member of the Board of Education will take place Tuesday, May 18th from noon until 9 p.m. And the voting districts are in the middle school cafeteria, that's the Eastern District. The Western District will be in the Moores Elementary Gymnasium. And that about concludes what I wanted to present.
Okay, I am back, and I'm going to be honest with everybody. I'm kind of going into this kind of blind. I haven't had the opportunity to study up as I often try to do and have tried to do in the past. So I kind of learned as I went along with Bob's presentation. But one question has been answered to everybody who's been, I've heard speculating out there, gee, with the new assessments, tax rate per thousand must be going down, but the answer is no, it's still
it's going up. It's going up $1.06.
And with the libraries and with the buses, I imagine we bought buses last year too. Would you know offhand what the bottom line for all 3 of those would it be more than $1.06 increase over last year, or is that beyond what we have available here in this booklet?
If I I think if you look on the back, you'll find that, you know, like, for instance, for the library, it's like 0.05 of a cent per thousand on assessed valuation that you can see right
Mhm.
there. It tells you for
Yeah.
the...
And the buses, you haven't got that
I
down
think,
per thousand?
no, I think the buses per se, I'm not quite sure exactly, but it's maybe like around 5 cents per thousand, if that. But again, as I said, you know, the proposition was originally to have 5 school buses in 1 van, and we felt that, you know, we needed to make some reductions wherever we possibly could. I guess I have to, even before you get into any more questions, is really compliment the board on the process. We had several budget hearings also for the community that came and voiced their concerns as we went through this process. Their input was very, very valuable. And we tried to make decisions that would be in the best interest of all our students, to try to eliminate things that we felt we could, and at the same time provide a strong educational program. And I think the board did a very, very, very good job at doing that. And it was very difficult to talk about eliminating summer school and driver's ed in the summertime. Those were not easy decisions that were arrived at.
Now, one of the reasons we are all at 100% assessment, I know in years past, all the tax rates would be, is that it's driven from the state, but the state also has kind of encouraged that reassessment every year and for it to kind of go up. And what that has done is taken away the effect of the STAR program to some extent, because if you had a home that was assessed at $50,000 a couple of years ago, and you got a $30,000 abatement on there as far as what the rate you're going to pay, so you're only going to pay on $20,000 with the STAR program. Well, now you're going to pay on $30,000, so you've really, your taxes have gone up 50%.
The taxes have increased, but the STAR program has been around for a while, and it hasn't always been available to every taxpayer. It was first started out as being something that was available to your senior citizens,
Right.
And they still do get a...
50,000.
Yeah, they can get a more of a break than the normal taxpayer, but then it became, because I think because tax rates kept going up, that it was available to all taxpayers. You know, what we did as superintendents in this area, we did a study because when we talked to our assemblyman and our senator, we wanted to show them what has happened in this district. And if you look at the operating aid, not the total state aid, but the amount of money that you get for operating aid, since 1993-94 up to now, it's gone down negative 2.8%. And if you look at your tax levy for this particular district, it's gone up 98.4%. So that's where the problem sets in, is every time that the tax levy goes up, the state aid goes down. So I think that that's something that needs to be brought in line. And I know that with the new legislation that's coming out with the CFE that they're working on, hopefully within the next year or so, they will look at a different way of funding schools, or at least making it more equal.
They've been talking about it, and of course Vermont tried it, and that has had mixed results there with the program they started. But my basic point was, you know, in addition to the fact that, like you said, the portion that the local taxpayer, the burden they have, has continued to increase. We seem to have a bigger portion of that every year. But this STAR stays at 30,000. You would think the state might increase that as assessments go up, but they don't.
They haven't done that yet.
No. So, like I said, if you were a taxpayer a couple of years ago that had a $50,000 assessment, and now you're assessed at $60,000. Well, before $30,000 came off your assessment, and you were only paying on 20. Now you're paying on 30. So, actually, what out of pocket before you get into the tax rate going up, you've jumped 50% if you're that level. You've
Yeah.
gone from 20,000 to 30,000. So it's you know, the state doesn't seem to, you know, you haven't got a comment on that because
No,
the state
but-
doesn't seem to
Right.
want to help the local taxpayer.
Right, I realize that, but the other thing is too, as your tax rate goes up, the value of that 30,000 is more than it was the previous year,
Right.
so.
But you're paying a bigger
still
percentage
pay- yes, you are.
because your
Absolutely.
your assessment went up. That's
Yeah.
my point. Your assessment went up, so that 30,000 becomes a smaller and smaller part of what
Yeah.
you're saving.
Absolutely.
And did your assessment go up, I hope?
My assessment went up more than what Star is.
Good.
Yeah, it did. Because basically, I think what they do is they look at, you know, especially people who purchase new property, what the value of it was before with the market value. So then they take the assessment and bring it up to the market value, which they have a right to do. My assessment went up 40,000, so I think I'll be paying my share.
Well, that's good. We want to share the burden. I don't know what the average is, and mine went up in the last couple of jumps. It's gone up, you know, I'd say at least 30% in the last couple of years. So, but we don't know offhand. Do you have the total assessed value? Is that something readily available, in maybe in a bigger booklet?
Basically, what we did on that to calculate that is Sheila contacted the assessors, and we went with the figures that they gave us. And I believe when we're looking at the town of Altona, Shazy, and Moores, we were told to calculate 5%. And when we were looking at the town of Champlain, we were told to calculate around 7.5. So using those figures, that's how we were able to determine the tax levy. We used that.
Okay. Unfortunately, they never break it down so that we know how much of that is actual new construction.
Mhm.
So that, you know, because new construction is a benefit to all of us because that lowers it. If the increase in the assessment is strictly, they reassessed your property and you haven't driven a nail into it, well, that doesn't help you. But somebody putting up a new $100,000 home,
Mhm.
that
Right.
helps all of us.
Right.
The drop, you said central administration, that's basically your part of your office here?
Well, it's a lot of things. Yeah, it's this office here, but it's also because,
The
you know.
administrator,
Right,
business
well,
administrator, well, the business administrator.
Business is a
separate.
different category. It's
Yeah.
that, you know, when most people retire, they have incentives or they have packages that, you know, go along with it.
So
And
that was
last year, that was put in for
That was a
Chris.
spike last year's, and
Right,
so
right.
it's
So now it's back down.
back down to where it,
Mhm.
now, how is the fuel prices affecting your budget? It's affecting, you know, there's those buses out there every day,
Well, what we were able to do, we usually try to lock into a price, and it's usually done around the month of August. But I'm sure because of, you know, the cost that's going up, that's going to affect everybody overall, and also the transportation department too. So hopefully we have, you know, accounted for that in the budget.
it's just going up so fast
Mhm.
that you almost can't budget for
I
it
know.
accurately. Now, you did tell us during your presentation, and you told me prior, there were a couple of big jumps. The employee benefits, could you break that down a little
Sure.
bit more on what that is? It
Basically-
jumped about $1 million right there, right?
Right, it's about $1.1 million, $1.2 million. You're looking at your teacher's retirement system. Basically, they have gone up $437,000 for us. The employees' retirement system has gone up $62,000, and the health insurance is around $700,000. That's what made it very difficult in constructing this budget, because you were looking at $1.1 million before you even started looking at what the needs would be for the next year. And we had a larger class moving up into the high school, so that was one of the things that we had to accommodate for too. It's different when you just add one class in an elementary level, because you only have to add one teacher. But when you start adding a larger class up into your high school level, now those, you have to look at, providing different classes for each of the subject areas that those students are going to take. So it's different. It's not just one teacher. You have to look at increasing the staff. So, but we were able to try to do all that, make all those provisions, and stay within that, that 7.9%.
Now, the retirement over 400,000. Now, is this basically because of the stock market? What? The investments in the retirement fund?
Well, the retirement system likes to be at a certain level, and until they get back up to that level, what they're doing is they're assessing the districts because they want to get back to that level, and because of the the prices in the stocks, like you said, the market went down considerably for the past couple of years. Now they need to catch back up again. Anyone who has any kind of shares or anything would all understand, as they see theirs go down, everybody else's does, and they need to recoup that. And it's the same thing with the employees' retirement system. They were even looking at going up to, like, I believe 12% this year, because they needed to recoup some of the loss that they have.
So this is, that retirement is more or less guaranteed by us, the taxpayers? Is that kind of what it sounds like?
Well, it's not necessarily guaranteed by the taxpayer. It's the New York State Teachers Retirement System. It's one of those things that the district has to pay in for each of their employees, whether you be working at a foundry or any place like that. Everyone has a retirement system that somebody has to contribute to, and what we're looking at is the district's contribution to that retirement system.
Now, is it possible that if the stock market changes, that we could actually find a decrease in the future? Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility, and I think that's what had happened when, over a period of time, when the retirement systems were very, very healthy. Then the amount that they were charging the districts was lower and lower. But then all of a sudden, when that happened and they started to charge larger percentages, that made a real major impact that districts weren't anticipating.
Now, did you say that the insurances went up $700,000?
The health insurance projection is around $700,000.
How many employees are we paying on?
We have 236 employees in this district.
236 employees on 700,000.
But you also have
about 3,000 per employee.
Well,
almost.
but you also have retired employees that receive health insurance benefits. This district, that's been in the North Country. It's not just this district; it's in most of the districts that. That's one of the benefits of retirement, that the employees get their health insurance. So that's all part of the package too. So you can't just look at your existing employees. You have to look at all those that fall under that realm.
Any idea what ballpark figure how many that would be?
No, that I don't have.
So even if you doubled it and said you had 500, you're still talking about a $1,500 per person increase.
Health insurance. Health insurance is getting expensive.
Now, I know there's nothing to do with what we're voting on with the budget here, but it does have to do with contracts and future contracts. So are most of our employees contributing some now?
Yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are. And it keeps each year, subsequent year, they're contributing more and more. So, I think in most districts you're going to find that that's the only way that anyone's going to be able to maintain a health insurance program, is that a certain percentage will be passed off to each of the employees. And as we get going into further contracts and negotiating newer contracts, that's definitely one of the big items that needs to be dealt with.
It's when I went to St. Mary's, they kept referring to the real world, and out in that real world, everybody, no matter where you work, contributes a great deal to your health insurance, and we've got to get everybody on board so that they understand the way it is in the real world out there. That any particular major blips that you feel need further explanation?
I really don't think so, Calvin. I think that it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, we tried to, like I said, we made some major cuts in practically every single area. What we did when we started this, we went line by line. We met with the transportation supervisor, met with the building and grounds individual, met with the director of athletics, and we went through line by line and said, okay, what is it that we can take out of this because of the unfunded, mandates that were coming through, like the attendance that I talked about, where we had to put in the star base, and also because of the unexpected, benefit increases. We needed to reduce everything we possibly could. I'm hoping that this is the last year, that this year the state does do something about it, and they look at a more equitable way to finance schools. I know with the court case of the CFE that they are bound to do something prior to July, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
They're also supposed to get a budget on time too.
Well, maybe in my lifetime and yours, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, in our earlier lifetime they did,
Yeah.
but not in our recent lifetimes.
Yeah.
Is the proposed contingency budget available in any of these publications that we have, or?
Well, yeah, I think if you look at the
I mean, you had it, what the
cuts are and everything.
decreases would have been.
Yes, if anyone wants that, they can stop by. We'd be more than happy to provide it for them in school.
Okay, this is it here?
Yeah, that's right there. And then the other thing is, anyone who came to the meetings, we did talk about those, and we will, again, that will probably be available on the 17th if people have questions in regarding to that.
My experience in the past on contingency budgets, we've had them here a couple of times, and when you look at the budget that was voted out, and if the board went to that contingency budget, and they don't have to after the first vote, they could make some cuts and come back with a separate vote, but anytime you do go to that drastic means of a contingency budget, you end up with people then deciding, well, let's put this as a proposition, let's put that as a proposition, do we want to save our kindergartens, do we want to save the sports, and so on. And those, some of those things find a way back in. And what I have found is, looking at the proposed budget several years ago, and then we went to contingency budget, and then looking at that the following year, finding out that we ended up spending more than we would have if we had approved the original budget to begin with. So going to contingency budget creates a whole lot of problems. So I hope that
well, especially this year, since the cuts are over $1 million. I mean, that's like taking the heart out of a school. I mean, we know that education is a very important part. We also understand that there are a lot of other aspects of education that we need to address in sports and in fine arts and things like that. And that's what makes school a school. I mean, so you're absolutely right. And then the other thing that goes out in contingency is the distance, if it's safe as far as walking goes and transportation. And it would be very devastating to have to take out an additional $1 million after we have gone through the budget with a fine-tooth comb and tried to take out every possible thing that we felt we could. There is going to be another $100,000 project next year, which is to take a look at the water. We need to look at our water system here at this building, and that is one that we get each year, that it's an aidable project. So that's also in the budget. But I really don't see where there's much more that we can cut than what we've already done, and to be able to provide a strong academic program that I'm sure everybody who has their child coming to the school wants to see.
And I would say basically without the that unfunded, whatever that was.
Unfunded mandates or?
No, well, the part that includes the undistributed, I guess, the undistributed,
With the employee benefits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can be cut.
No, that can't be cut.
And that's the biggest factor, if not the entire factor, certainly the vast majority of it is based on that. So, unfortunately, the things that cause the budget to go up, I know how much does our special education budget go up this year? That's always a big jump. Do you have that readily available?
Yeah, let's see. It went up about 4.3%. It was $3,516,602 in 2003-2004, and it went to $3,668,575 in the proposed budget, which is an increase of $151,973. So
that's relatively
that's low for special ed.
For special ed, that in the past has been one of our biggest bubbles as far as increases go. So that's all things considered relatively small compared to past years. But unfortunately, like I said, some of the biggest things that are increasing this budget, there's no way nothing we can do to cut those. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to go over this. Again, I'm sure you want to invite people that have questions to be at that public hearing on Monday.
Yes.
It's at 7 or 7:30?
It's at 7 o'clock.
7
and
o'clock here at the
also,
school.
I try to provide an open forum every month. It's usually announced in the paper or whatever, so if anyone has any questions or concerns about the school, about education, about programs, I'm usually in my office for at least an hour during that time. It's usually 6:30 to 7:30, and it's usually fairly well advertised, so if anyone wants to stop by and talk about education, I love doing that. And I would like to thank everyone that was involved in putting this budget together, especially the community members that came to the meetings, for all the input that they gave us, and it's all our board members who had to make some very, very difficult decisions. And I really feel that we are putting forth a very fiscally sound budget that will give us a good, strong educational program. And I do encourage everyone to please come out and vote on the date of the budget vote.
That's the 18th, I believe, the
18th,
Tuesday
right,
the 18th,
from 12 until 9.
Which is the Tuesday immediately following you're watching this. And these little booklets are available at convenience stores?
Yes,
So
several different stores. You can stop by the school, pick one up, and
are they available in Moore's at the school also?
Yes, yes.
Rouse's Point Elementary or just up here?
No, they'll be all the schools.
All the schools have these?
Yeah.
There's not time to put one in the mail to you because you wouldn't get it in time. And these here we're supposed to have gotten in the mail. I'm not sure if we did or didn't, but
I think some people already did. They were telling me today they already did. They were mailed out yesterday. You get them like 6 days before.
and if people want to
The
have
details.
some heavy reading, they can come in here and
Absolutely.
there are some of these available to take out.
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yes, we do.
or they can stay here and look at them, but they can also
Yeah.
take it home. Makes a wonderful souvenir. Souvenir edition of the.
Put it on your nightstand for bedtime reading, right?
Right. Well, thanks again, Robert.
Well, thank you very much, Calvin.
And I
Thanks
hope
for the
your
opportunity.
stay here at Northeastern is a long and productive one.
I hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, thank you.